What's up, guys? Jason Gavin here, and tonight let's talk about what worked and what didn't and what just failed for the year of 2026 or 2025. I'm sorry. I always like to look at the end of the year of whether it's pressure washing and Christmas lights, being that we're at the end of the year for both. What did we do awesome? What worked awesome? What marketing worked awesome? What went amazing? What was excellent? How did we do so great versus what sucked? What was a big fat failure? But wait a minute. There is no such thing, Jason. You say a failure, and you're right. What did we learn in 2026 for our Christmas light business and our pressure washing business? I always like to see what went well and what can we do to be better, right? And so tonight, that's what I'm going to kind of walk over different marketing things that I've seen across the country, what worked for best for pressure washing and Christmas lights. And I'm going to kind of be general because tonight I want to be more on the side of what went amazing this year. And if you're in the comments, I'd love to hear what's worked well for you this year. And then I would also like to hear in your comments, what maybe did we learn this year? Like, well, that didn't work out as well as I thought it would work out. And so we're going to hit on those things. And I might hit on some side of how to take down because we are getting into the takedown season. If you want to hear me talk about the takedown, if you do, put in the comments takedown. So that way, if I have enough people to say that, I will hit on that also. My book of the week. My book of the weeks. I've had this book of the week a while ago, but it's kind of a great book because it changes the way you think and the way your mindset is. And the book is The No BS Marketing to Affluent. This is a great book. I highly recommend you to read this book because it's a way that makes you think about the $10 bottle of wine versus the $60,000 bottle of wine. Dan Kennedy is an amazing, amazing marketer. He's one of the godfathers out there. And so this is a great book. I highly recommend this book to you. If you have not read this book, I would highly recommend you to do that. When taking the lights down, do you collect a deposit for the following year? That's a great question, and I will answer that because that is an amazing question. But before we get to that, I think that this week is the week that it's kind of like the calm a little bit. We finally get over all of the Christmas light installs. I know a lot of my pressure washing guys down in the South, down in the Florida area that can still be pressure washing, and some of those guys are still getting things clean for Christmas lights. We got people in Alabama that are cleaning and got a full list of stuff. And so whether we're in Florida or Alabama, my cleaning guys down south are great. And then also my guys up here in the north, a lot of you guys are doing the Christmas lights, and that's all slowed down now. So we're in that calm area of a good time to look at like what worked amazing for us this year. What was we awesome at? And then we need to look at like, what do I need to get better at? And everybody has something that they can get better at. I've got things that I need to get better at, and I'm working on it. And I want you all to work on you to do the same thing. So that's what we'll do. But while I see some people put takedown in here, let's talk about takedown. Let's talk about how to do takedown. But before we do that, let's talk about some things that I seen that went really well this year. And let's start with marketing. Marketing, I seen people doing different things. We had Facebook ads, we had yard signs. I know people that did EDDM. I know people that did Google ads. I know people that did door knocking. I know people that did all kinds of different things. Google My Business, getting your reviews. I know people that had success with, let me think of cold calling, returns, referrals. And so these are all the things that I seen that worked. And so I'm going to tell you some instances of people that I know that what they did to get to a certain point. And I'll tell you some things that I know that people did and it didn't work real good. And so I've got kind of the both. I see a lot of both. So I can kind of say this is why this don't work generally or why this didn't work. So let's start off with one that I know a lot of people have had great success with. Some people didn't, but most people that did these had great success. And that would be Facebook ads. I know people that had done very well with Facebook ads. I know people that added six figures to their business with Facebook ads. I know people that added multiple six figures to their business with Facebook ads. They had a great ad. They had several ads. Some of these people had people running them, and some people just did it on themselves. They did it their own Facebook ads. Most of them were very simple. They didn't get crazy. You didn't see a lot of the Santa Claus this year. Last year in the Facebook ad, you've seen a lot more of the Santa Claus stuff. This year, we didn't really see a lot of that. So that is something that I see a lot. And I see Gary said he's still posting on Facebook and still getting calls. And I think that this is something that this year I seen more too is more people are getting more calls off of doing organic Facebook, not just Facebook. And I think this is where when you do Facebook and you do the paid, I believe that it kind of comes together and it works amazing at how it works. And so Facebook ads I seen that did very well. Again, I know people that, some people did video ads, some people did static ads, and it was kind of a mixture of what it was. Again, I know people that ran these ads, and like I said, I know people that did very well with it, and it is definitely something that worked for a lot of people. My number two thing that I seen worked, and this was, I know some people that did this and they actually had some of the greatest success with this. It was definitely probably one of the lowest cost per jobs. They actually got the most ROI out of it. I've seen people 10xing and 15xing this cost. And this is yard signs. And I know people hate when I talk about yard signs, but I can show you people that put out 600, 800 yard signs and added $100,000 to their business. And you might think that's a lot, 600 to 800 yard signs, but let's say if you put out 1,000 yard signs, you can get these yard signs for $3-4 a piece. So you're looking at $3,000 to $4,000. That's bringing in $100,000. And so I know people like David Hamill put out a couple thousand. I know Odin put out 1,000. I know several people that have done it. David Hamill said he was going to put out 2,500 this year, and I know he hit $500,000 in Christmas lights alone from basically the yard signs. He has a great website. He has his Google My Business firing. He has everything firing on target. But he did $500,000 in Christmas lights this year, and he's in an area of only 80,000 people. And so it's really cool to see people like that has done very well. And rather his pressure washing business does over $1 million. He's got another business that does over $1 million. And for Christmas lights that only been in business for 2 or 3 years to do $500,000 is pretty awesome, to say the least, at the end of the day. Another thing that I seen that worked really well this year was Google My Business or Google Business Profile. The people that, put their 100 pictures in there, the people that have optimized their website to it, the people that have done all of these things to Google Business has definitely helped them a lot. They posted 3 times a week. They were working on their reviews. They made sure they got all their reviews. And so these are all things that went very well for us in the Google review side of things. And so I know people that, were dominating the search, and that had called them to do very well with this. Another one that I see, and this is one that a lot of times we don't always think about, is our past referrals. I've seen this do very well for a lot of people. You got really good jobs and you started doing more and more, and then you start getting good referrals. And this is why we don't want to do the cheap houses, because a lot of times I see people do the cheap houses, and then guess what kind of referrals you get is more cheap houses. And so it is really good to see people that have done very well with that. Now, what was another thing worked? I've seen people do very well with premium pricing. I know, yes, I have people in the $5 and $6 range, but I have a lot of people that have had very great success this year in the $8 to $12 a foot range. There's a reason why I push this so hard, and whether it's Christmas lights or if we're charging 30 cents a square foot in pressure washing, there's a reason why I tell you to do this. One, we do half the work and make twice as much money. And a lot of people don't get this, And when we're at the $8 to $12 a foot, there's the likelihood of your average ticket being more than $1,500 to $2,500. And this is how we're able to see people hit six figures and seven figures in 2025. And it's amazing that this is something that you can do. When you do premium pricing, you get better customers. A lot of times you get a lot less of the crappy customers. And again, cheap pricing, people either quit or go out of business. And we'll see that a lot coming up in the takedown, that you're going to start getting phone calls because they're going to say, nobody came and took my lights down because they were cheap. And guess what happens when we're cheap? A lot of times we go out of business. People upselling this year worked really well for a lot of people. It's a way to get our average ticket up. I've seen a lot of roof lines this year. I've seen a lot of not just the straight front. Yes, I've seen some of that, but the people that are starting to learn to add the ground stake lighting, to add the garland, to add the columns, to add add all the things that can really go and to do that. And the same thing with the pricing. I've seen, some people that struggle, and I listen to their phone calls, or I hear, I ask them, how was that? They sell the bulbs. And this year I've seen a lot of people selling magic and believing in it. And it's just amazing how when we sell the magic, how we can get our average ticket up, how everything just works better because we're not selling the bulb, and that is key. And then last thing here is what worked is getting your quotes out fast. The people that I saw getting their quotes out fast, same day, same hour, definitely got more work than other people. And so I think this is something that, it doesn't matter if we're talking about pressure washing or Christmas lights. I actually had this conversation today of, if you call a plumber, the last thing you want to hear them to say is we can be there in 2 weeks, right? And there's no different than you telling your customers, I'll get you that quote in a week or in 3 days. The faster, the speed to lead, the faster we get them a quote, the faster they're willing to bid. And this is getting more and more. People want to know how much it costs. There's been a couple updates on Google. And if you go search pressure washing near me, if you go search Christmas light installers, you're going to start seeing a button that says online estimates, or get a quote, or get comparative estimates. And so this is something that if you're not having this stuff on your website, if it's taking you forever to get this, we are in a now society. People want this stuff now. They don't want to wait for a week. They don't want to wait for 2-3 days. And so this is why it's so important that we do this. And then another thing too is getting off the truck. I had several guys getting off the truck this year, and it's neat to see them being able to grow their business, whether that's pressure washing and Christmas lights. And some guys, they're lost, right? I actually had a conversation about a month ago with one of the guys that's in mentorship, And he got off the truck and he's like, I'm lost. I don't know what to do. I feel like my arms are crossed and I don't know what to do, because you don't get the satisfaction of seeing a dirty house clean. You don't get that satisfaction. You got to find your satisfaction through other things. You got to find your satisfaction of closing more jobs. You got to do different types of work. A lot of us get into the manual labor part, and we see that, and we don't get that getting off the truck and paying somebody $20 an hour, because you're literally doing a job that is worth $20 an hour. And we don't always see that. And when we're working a $20 an hour task, that means we're not working the $1,000 an hour task. And I would much rather you work in $1,000 an hour task than working a $20 an hour task. And so as we start growing and scaling these businesses, this is something that we have to look at. How do I get myself off the truck? How do I work myself out of this job that I have? Because owning a business is not just having a job that you have. If you get hit or if you fall off the roof tomorrow, what's going to happen to your business? Is it going to be able to keep moving, or is it going to come to a screeching halt because you're the one that's doing all the work and you're the one that's doing the things that, that are not where we need to be at? And so this is definitely something that we need to look at to see, how do we do this? How do we delegate? As we delegate and we find the right people to put on the bus, it's amazing what happens. Putting the right systems in place is, putting Jobber in place. I recommend Jobber. I recommend a couple other ones. Jobber is one thing I love about Jobber is it does two things that I really like. One, I like the way it breaks down the individual line items that you can unselect and select. And yes, it's on the higher premium tier, and I get that, but it's something that you can turn it on and off, turn it on for 2 or 3 months and turn it back off. And it's a way that it will help you be able to get your average ticket up. And two, it works really good for routing your guys to get jobs done quickly and efficiently. And as we start talking about takedown at the end of tonight, that is an important key is to know, how do we take down, so that way as we're taking down, we're not running around circles and doing things where we shouldn't be doing those things. Another thing is early hiring. This is something that if you're going to start hiring people, I'm going to talk about this in takedown, because in takedown a lot of times we want to do these fancy systems on our phone and different things, but are you going to be on the job next year with your phone with that picture? Where is that picture? What does that picture look like? Do you give access to your job or do you not? And so these are all things that are great questions of it. So what did I see that failed? I seen some people not get started early enough. They waited. I seen some people that they get caught up in the I need to be cheap because I don't like hearing the word no. And as we grow this business, you are going to hear the word no a lot. And that's a big issue. Another big killer that I see every year, and this is in pressure washing and Christmas nights, is not answering the phone. It's something like 25 to 30% of the time people only answer their phone. And this is huge. And the more I think about it, the more I think of, why don't people answer their phone? And I think some of it is some people are scared of what that call might be. Are they scared that it's callback? Are they scared that it's a big job that they don't want to do? And so there's lots of times we can come up with excuses of why not answering the phone. I'm on the roof, I'm too busy, blah, blah, blah. And this is a huge part of why businesses lose jobs, right? This is a huge reason why, because competitors in 2025 ain't waiting for you. They're not even going to leave you a voicemail. They're just not even going to do that. And if you don't answer the phone, when you call them back, the likelihood of them answering is probably very slim to none. Now, one thing that I think that in 2026 is going to help some of this is AI answering. But on the same hand, it's still not a real person. And people do want real people to talk to. And so I think that that is something that can do this. A lot of people have no follow-up systems, zero follow-up. And we know that data tells us that typically a customer needs 9 to 11 touches or follow-ups to buy from you. So why are we just not following up? Because I'm too busy. I don't have this. I don't do that. I blah, 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 right? And this is something that I see a lot of people struggle with is following up. And rather, if you use a system, sometimes we got to use two systems to have great follow-up. Sometimes we might use a system like Responsive, Go High Level, whatever we need to do to follow up. Following up is key. I like what people say is you should follow up until they tell you to shut up, right? Or die. Follow up or die. Buy or die. And so it is something that we need to do is definitely follow up. Follow up, follow up, follow up. One of the things I see that goes wrong a lot of times is yard signs with too many words. They got too much stuff on them and too many words. And this is a huge fail that I see a lot of times. Pricing, people pricing at $4 to $6 a foot. Well, Jason, I ain't got no cost. Really? You don't have no cost? I love when people say it don't cost me anything. It didn't cost you gas to get there. Did it cost you? Do you have insurance? What about the callbacks? What about the takedowns? Are you going to do those? Or are you probably not because you ain't making no money? And are you raising your prices? Because I guarantee you your gas prices are a lot more expensive than they were 2 or 3 years ago. So are we doing that? I've seen this happen. People discounting too much. Yeah, I'll do it and then I'll give you 50% off next year. I give you 25% off next year. And it's literally that's your profit. Like you're literally pissing away all of your profit. That is your money. It's like leaving money on the table and being like, I don't want that money. And so this is a big thing that I see. Selling the bulbs is another one. So many people want to sell the bulbs, right? We sit there and we want to talk about how we make it perfect and we put the bulb on the peak and we use LEDs and they don't use no electricity and it's all about the bulbs. And this is something that kills businesses. Another business killer is it takes you 2 to 3 days to quote. And this is pressure washing and Christmas lights both. I've seen it. I've got 30 quotes to get done. Well, why are you talking to me? Why are you in this Facebook group? Why are you watching YouTube? Go get these quotes done, right? I mean, you can watch this YouTube, but you better be doing your quotes all at the same time while we are doing this. So we need to make sure that we are doing that. So what can we do in 2026 that can make us better, right? What do we need to do more? What do we need to do more of? And that's start marketing earlier. If you want to start marketing now in January and February and March for this year, that's great. Because if you're in pressure washing, we need to be marketing now, not wait till September to start marketing for Christmas lights. Because if you want to do HOAs and large businesses, a lot of their budgets are done in October. And so they're getting their budgets ready in June, July, and August to get this done for that. And so this is something that we need to do now. And this is why, I see people and they start marketing and they get a website and then they do nothing to the website for the rest of the year until it's Christmas light time. And then they're like, oh my God, I need a new website. That's why you do SEO all year long. It's just like pressure washing. You do SEO all year long. You don't just do it from April to October, and you don't do Christmas lights just from September to December. we need to do SEO all year long, right? We need to be doing the things we need to do to grow this business all year long, because this is what's going to get us our leads. This is what's going to get us everything that's going to grow this business. You know, I talk about this a lot, as in, what is your marketing schedule for the next 6 months? Not for the next year. What's your marketing schedule for the next 6 months? Are you going to do LinkedIn and try to get commercial work? Are you going to get 200 connections every week? Are you going to post once or twice a week in LinkedIn? Are you going to comment 5 times on LinkedIn? Are you going to post on your Google business profile 1 time a week? Are you going to post a picture 1 time a week on your Google business profile? What are you going to do the next 6 months for our Christmas light business? What are you going to do the next 6 months for our pressure washing business? It's going to look different, but just because we're marketing and pressure washing, if you want a successful Christmas light business, doesn't mean that we just shut it off and be like, we ain't going to do nothing to that. Because Google at the end of the year is like, who is this company? They want to show up and then they die down, and then to show up and die down. And Google's like, what the heck? What's going on? Why is this little guy beating this big guy? Because the little guy's sitting there doing the things that he needs to. And this is where people will be like, there's so much competition. Is there that much competition? Or are you lazy? Are you marketing all year long? Or are you only marketing with everybody else? What are you doing to separate yourself from doing this stuff, right? So that is something that as we keep growing this business, it is amazing to see and it is amazing to do. Now, let's talk about takedown. Let's talk about how do we take down lights? How do we schedule takedown? And any other questions you all have about takedown. So I see a lot of times people are like, man, I'm going to take a picture and we're going to put all this stuff in there and we're going to do this amazing and we're going to have all this stuff written down. And my question typically is are you going to be on the job next year when they put that house up? Are they going to be able to write and read and how long it's going to take them to watch you to do it? Or do you make it really streamlined and simple? Some people love to complicate this. Some people just put them in big, just tear them all down, don't mark nothing, and put them up on anybody's houses next year. And then they wonder why they got all these hot mails everywhere, because they've got mails every which way. And it's just a dangerous situation at that point because they got all these hot mails. And so this is what I always try to help people figure out how to take down. So first off, taking down is how do we schedule our takedowns, right? Typically, I like to schedule my takedowns from the furthest and work my way back to the house or back to the shop. Typically, you're going to get anywhere from about 10 to 15 installs down per crew. Generally, DJ and I can go get 10 to 15 of them down, but that's with a truck and a trailer to bring everything back. Because when you start taking down, you got reefs and you got, boatloads of lights and minis, and you just got a lot of stuff. And so you got to be able to get all this stuff back. So that's why you can only get so many down typically. The other reason why I like to work my farthest out and work my way back is because then as the season goes, everything is getting closer and closer to the shop. So then that way I can get more back to the shop, go back and get more, and I can do it that way for my business for that. So routing it is definitely something that can be tricky. Another thing I would say is for takedown is educate your customers. If you're in a snow area, let them know that, hey, we're not going to be able to come get these lights down until the snow melts. And if you're in New York, it might be March before we're able to get these lights down because we can't take them down if the snow's on the house. So it is important that you communicate to your customers that when are you going to try to get these lights down. I know if you've got lots of customers, you can send an email out this week and say, hey, do you want to keep your lights up till after January 1st? Or can we come start taking them down December 26th? Because at that point, if we can start taking down in December 26th, then that's a great thing that we can do, is to start taking these lights down in December 26th. We can get a week ahead of the ball game here to get these lights taken down. Now, different ways you can put them, take them down. You can put them in a box. You can put them in the totes, the big yellow totes. You can put them in the fruit trays. And it really just depends on how you want to take down. Now, typically, I will say that the people in the big yellow totes, they take up a lot of space that don't always get used. So then you have lots of wasted space that's not getting used. Because where they come in on an angle is every one that you're moving, you have this much space that's not getting used, all the way stacked up on both sides. So that can be an issue with, you could get a lot more lights in. A lot of times your 27-gallon totes, or whatever they are, 17-gallon totes, I don't know which one they are, but I've got one right there. They don't always get filled up. So then we got a half-filled tote with one job in it. And so that's another thing that if you want to do totes, you can do totes. You can do the fruit trays, is another way to do the fruit trays. If you don't know what a fruit tray is, I'll see if I can run over here and get it here real quick, as I've got one right here. And so these are the fruit trays. I've got other crap in this fruit tray, but this is a fruit tray. Good thing about the fruit trays is they allow the water out, so that way the water doesn't get stuck in it. And this little plastic pouch, this is something that DJ does, is he will actually take, and he will take the invoice of the house. And then what he will do is he will mark on the house. He'll make kind of a diagram of the house. So he'll have the house here with the line. And then he will say, you know, this is a red zip tie. This is a yellow zip tie. So then that way he knows where the red and yellow zip tie go back up. And then what he does is he'll just fold this up, put it in that little pouch there, so then you know where that is. I would do numbers. Put numbers on there. You can do, you can put the customer's name in there, but when you're looking for customers' names, a lot of times that's hard to find a customer's name. But if you have a spreadsheet with 100s is this county, 200s is this county, the 10s are this city, the 20s are this city, you can start breaking up, and you can start having your kind of in clusters of where all of your customers are. So it's just another way to keep things simple. You could do it by the zip code, like this zip code's all this number, this zip code's all this number. So then that way, when you go to install, you know that, hey, these are all the customers that are in that area. So that's another way that we can do this. So we talked about storage. Let's talk about taking down. I personally don't do I would keep it simple, and it can be actually, you know, you can do a red zip tie on the right hand side of the house. Which side is the right side of the house? Well, typically if we're in the fire service, as we're looking at the address of the house or the front door of the house, that's typically the address side, that's the front of the house. So when you're looking at the front of the house, that's the A side for all my firemen. And then it goes A, B, C, D, right? Well, for my pressure washing and Christmas light guys, when you're looking at the front door at the road, the right side is where I'm going to put a red zip tie. And I'm going to do one zip tie for first floor and 2 zip ties for the second floor. And the reason why I'm going to do this is that's going to tell me that, hey, when I go to put it up or take it down. Now, am I going to start on the right side, or am I going to start on the left side? And that's going to depend on how you're going to start next year. If you want to start on the right side with that red zip tie, then that means we got to start on the left side of the house, and take down and put the zip tie on the right hand side of that zip tie there. You can do pinks in different colors, you can do different things, but just don't overcomplicate it. And for my guys that love the old peak bulbs, most of you are probably cutting the tabs off here so you're not effing up the shingles. If you aren't doing that and you're shoving it up there and you're breaking the shingles, you're tearing up someone's house. But if you're cutting that shingle tab off, that automatically tells you that that's the peak bulb. If you worry about the peak bulb. I know some of you all love to obsess over the peak bulb, but that's if you thinking about the peak bulb. So that's another thing, that kind of a way that we can do that for the peak bulb. So we're going to start on the right hand side, put a zip tie, or what we can do is say, here's the zip tie, start on taking down on the right hand side. That's that zip tie. And then what you do is when next year, because here's the thing, next year you can have all these pretty pictures on there, but the guy that took down this year, is he the one installing next year? He may not ever even hung a Christmas light. You might be teaching him how to hang Christmas lights. So now you want him to see this picture that he may not understand. And again, you got to keep it simple. We love to complicate the crap out of this stuff, but how do we keep it simple? How do we make sure that we can get them up this year versus next year? Again, if we start on the right-hand side, put the zip ties, go to the left-hand side. Next year, we go to the left-hand side of the house, undo them, and it should fit right back up on the house. So there's our totes. Actually, I'll show you this other tote here, so that way you know what I'm talking about. Let's see if I can find it here. Nope, wrong way. It's down here. I'm going to see if I can get it down here. That's the yellow totes that I know a lot of people love, the totes. And so that's what I'm talking about by the yellow totes. You can see how the top of it hangs over. And so that's why you lose a lot of space trying to use totes. But some people love totes and some people don't. It's up to you. You got to remember that they got to dry out. And that's the only one of the problems with the totes is sometimes they don't always dry out. And so that's kind of where we are with the totes. So what's up, big time in the house? How are you doing, Mr. Sean Day? Sean Day, you know Sean Day's a smart dude. He's an awesome dude. He came to one of my last classes this year and spoke on hiring people, and he spoke on leadership, and everybody liked him for his leadership speak. So he might have to start talking about leadership instead of talking about hiring. I don't know if he'd know what to do if he didn't talk about hiring. If you are looking to hire people for pressure washing and Christmas lights, definitely give Sean a shout. He'll talk to you. He'll holler at you. He'll help you out. I know he helped Odin out. Odin had to find some people because he tore his ACL a week before Christmas light hanging. So it's definitely something that if you haven't used Sean or if you haven't talked to Sean, you're missing out. Again, he usually will talk to you for free. He'll give you advice. He'll help you. But if you want to use his service, it is definitely something that I would highly, highly recommend you do. Sean is a great guy. He is, I learned some things this year about him. I didn't even know about him. He grew his bit. He had a cleaning business that did a couple $1 million a year. So he hired lots and lots of people. He had over 50 people, employees with his cleaning business. So it is definitely something that he understands hiring. He helps thousands of people hire. So if you are looking for someone in 2026, definitely give him a jingle. Definitely, he will help you out for sure. Mr. George Yost, a bit late. So, but again, those are my tips for takedown. Hanging wreaths. I know someone asked the question. Garland and wreaths. The one issue with those is they take up a lot of space, and so it is something that it does take up a lot of space to do garland and that. I'm smart too. Haha. I don't even do Christmas lights, so maybe not that smart. So good. But what's your all's questions for tonight? What worked well for you this year, and what do you need to work on next year? Like, what is one thing? Don't pick 10 things that you need to work on. What is one thing you need to work on next year? Whether that's Christmas lights, whether that's pressure washing, what is one thing that you need to do better next year? Like you feel like I could have did a lot better. But I also want to know what's one thing that you feel good that you did good at. Because we don't always want to look at our negatives. We want to look at our positives to outweigh our negatives. So then that way it's just better overall by doing it that way. When you take the lights down, do you try collecting a deposit for the following year? And that is a great thing to do. If you have a payment plan and you can help them break it up into 10 months, you can ask for 50, you can give them maybe a discount, 10% discount if they pay the 50% up front or 100% up front. And there is people that will pay you all up in front in August or July in January. And people will pay all year long too. And the great thing about those people is then at the end of when you do go hang up the lights, they'll actually pay more to put up more lights. So that's a great thing because they've already paid for the lights for the 10 months. Let's talk takedown. Also, opinion on advertising takedowns for clients that use Home Depot lights, either installed by themselves or a different company. One thing I would say is a smart thing that you can do is go look at businesses and find businesses that are getting Christmas lights hung and see if they like their people that are hanging the lights, and then go knock on the neighbors' doors and see if they want lights. So then that way we can kind of hit two stones there. We had a lot of people reach for permanent light installs this year. I had to pass. We have never done this. Will you be offering a class? I feel like it is a new trend. I will be having classes this year for permanent lights. It is something that is kind of, I don't know if it's new trend. It's becoming more and more of a trend. And Govee has helped that trend out a lot. You need to get better for sure. I'm still posting Facebook daily, still getting calls. That's good. Don't stop. This is a great question here. I don't know if it's going to fail, but I knew it was going to do that to me. When would you fire a customer? If you could give a couple examples of what would be great, because I've made difficult customers into some of my best customers. When would you fire a customer? And you were right. I will say that some of your most difficult customers can get you the most referrals. And the reason why that is because their friends know that they're difficult. And if you can make them happy, then you can make their friend happy because they're not near as difficult as that one. But on that same hand, there is the cheap people are the ones that you want to fire because usually they're the biggest pain in the butts, and those are the ones that you will eventually want to fire and quit hanging the lights for them. Let's see. When should I start advertising for lights next year? I'm wanting to do contracts with HOAs and businesses. When's the best time to start? And I'm going to say January. Start calling and reaching out in January and February and March and start building those relationships, networking, finding out who these business owners are. It just works out really, really good for you in the end. Sean Day said, great stuff. Big time in the house. We got David Merle in the house. Where are these comments at? I'm not seeing this. YouTube? Yes, in your comments. I see them over here on my little screen because it pulls them all into my screen here. And so it depends on if I post them up here or not. Sometimes on here it is, sometimes my screen, once you hit the comment, it goes back up to the top. So sometimes I don't always pull them up. I could have done better at marketing. Organic and returning customers kept us booked out very comfortable. But if you're not growing, you're dying. Just hired a foreman. And this is very true, right? How do we, and this is somebody that has been doing very well in the decks, uh, and he's getting a lot of referrals through the decks. And so marketing is definitely something that, as we need a lot of that is are you getting your Google reviews? Are you posting your reviews? Are you posting in Google? Are you networking? Are you building relationships? And those are all things that will grow our business in the end. And it is something that is important that we do over and over and over. Again, as you start growing, and if you've done good work and you're doing great work and you got good branding and your truck's branded and your trailer's branded and everything is branded, then that will also help because you're in these neighborhoods, which are the neighborhoods you want. These are all good things that help you keep growing this business. So I like that, Jeremy, of organic and even organic, right? Are you posting? Some of you, I told the other day that my goal was to hit 1 million views, 1 million views on my personal Facebook. And so that is something that I'll just show you here. And I actually haven't been posting, but let me see if it'll pull up my screen here. Scene. I don't know if it will or not. Let's see if this is the scene I want. Nope, that's not the scene I want. I don't know if it'll pull it up or not. Copy of scene. Is this the one I want? There we go. This is my Facebook here, and you can see that in the last 28 days, I've had over 1 million views. 1 million views. And you can see where I slacked right here. But I don't know if I can go back when it to August or not. The last 90 days, is that August? No, so August 18th is when I actually started posting as much as I did. And then I kind of stopped and then I started posting again. And this is what happens when you post. This was right at Thanksgiving right here. This was actually Thanksgiving weekend. This was on Thanksgiving. And so from there, I've been posting 1 per hour. And you can see that how much this has dropped up here. So I know that another person that came to my class that actually did the same thing in his personal business. And even on his business page, he got it to over 100,000 views, starting at nothing, 100,000 views for that. So in the last 90 days, I've had 2.5 million views just on Facebook alone. So it does work. And so I just wanted to show you that was my little accomplishment that I wanted to do before the end of the year, is have 1 million views in 28 days. And so that's how I've done it. And so people wonder why you work Facebook and how people get all these jobs. And, I talk about different people that use Facebook. And if you follow me, you know who some of these people are, because I've told you who they are, who to follow. And there's some awesome people that do very well. And one of the guys he's a little guy, very little. Literally, his name is Little. Get it? Very Little. And this guy has 14,000 followers, and he makes 7 figures, 6, 7 figures. Spend zero money in marketing, but you can see that he posts a lot, right? He posted 1 hour ago. He posted 3 hours ago. He posts 4 to 7 times a day. And it's videos, and he talks about different things. He talks about And, some people will be like, I'm bald. They can always come up with excuses. And so you can see that he posts a lot of videos. He calls out the cities, Huntsville, Alabama. He pulls these names out. So that's the way the algorithm knows who he's talking about. He helps other businesses. He talks about other businesses. He helps out the kids. Again, here's one about the angel tree. And so he does a lot. And again, I'm giving Barry a little shout out, but again, people want to know, how do I get business? Well, this is how you literally get business. I've got another one here that does the same thing. Bobby Duncan does very well for him. I know he's probably at 750 already, $750,000. Another one has spent zero money. This is his personal thing. He's in a small town. He's not in some big city, right? And so this is how he's able to grow his business. He's only got 6,000 followers, where Barry Little has 14,000. He's only got 6,000. And again, you can see that he posts and he posts and he posts and he posts and he posts 9 hours ago, 10 hours ago, 14 hours ago, 14 hours ago, yesterday, the 15th, right? The 15th. So you can see how he posts all of the time. This is not something that you take this easy or lightly, right? This is your job of posting, and this is how you can grow your business. This is a way that I'm showing you that if you're broke, this is how you get business. And I know Barry posts in the local market, he posts everywhere. And again, yes, I'm giving these guys a big shout out, but they do this very well, and they're both making, between the two of them, over 7 figures, guarantee it, and probably close to $2 million a year off of just posting organic posting. And some of you are like, oh my God, that's so scary. But that's how this happens. This is how it goes. So it's definitely something that is going. How's the weight loss going? It is going terrible, George Jost. I'll just be honest. It is terrible. It is going to get better. I'm actually going to start after Christmas of getting back on the no sugar crap, quit eating crap, and start working out. I have been working out a little bit here. I actually quit working out too, and I kind of just been busy, crazy season for me, and it's not an excuse that I should be using, but it is an excuse that I am using. And so after Christmas, it slows down for me, so I'm going to get back on the train of working out. But I'm going to be honest, it has sucked. There ain't no use lying about it, but it has sucked. So again, if you want to learn more about Christmas lights, if you want to learn more about marketing, in January, in my memberships, whether you're in my pressure washing membership or my Christmas light membership, I am going to start breaking down how to do the different things. So like we'll do 4 weeks on Facebook. We're going to do 4 weeks on Google My Business. We're going to do 4 weeks on LinkedIn. We're going to do 4 weeks on your website, because your website and your Google My Business are 2 huge things. So those are going to be in the next 4 to 5 months that I am going to get very in depth in building this. And I'm actually thinking about maybe doing small classes. So if you wanted to just join the Facebook for the next 4 months, then I would give you the link for that class, and then we can go from there. But I don't know how I'm going to do it exactly. I might actually just have classes on it. Like a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, a 3-day class back to back. I might do it. I haven't decided how I'm going to do this, but I am going to have some classes coming up to help you grow your business. I don't want you to be like, well, that don't work for me. Well, the only reason why it don't work for you is because you're not taking action, right? Bobby Duncan, if he didn't do what he did, he wouldn't be where he's at. Barry Little wouldn't be where he's at if he's not doing what he's doing. All right. And it opens up doors, and it's amazing of what can happen to you by doing this. And so it is something that I'm going to be pushing. If you're a member of King and Pressure Wash, or you're a member of ChristmasLights.io, I'm going to be teaching you how to market because this is the most important thing. It is the most important thing that you can do at the end of the day. Because if you don't know how to do marketing, you can be the best pressure washer, you can be the best Christmas light installer out there, and you're going to be a broke one because nobody knows who you are. And if nobody knows who you are, it's called you're broke. And we don't want you to be broke. And I'll probably have 4 weeks of AI somewhere or an AI class of how we can use AI in our service business. And I'll give you GPTs and I'll give you different things that will work for your business. And AI is changing a lot. Like there was a huge update just here recently on ChatGPT and Gemini. Both of them did a big, huge update within this last week. So it is always changing, but it's a matter of, are you willing to take action or are you going to make excuses? Excuses aren't going to get you anything done at the end of the day. I want you to take action so you can grow this business, so that you can change your life. You can have time freedom. You can have financial freedom. And it's amazing what can happen. You know, I see people that start and they grow it. Like I've got one guy that, you know, in 3 years hit $500,000. Another guy hit 3 years and hit $1 million. I've had guys that do 3 years and hit $60,000. Right? What's the difference? A lot of it is what are you focusing your time on? Are you focusing in sales and marketing, or are you focusing your time on the truck? Because if you're focusing your time on the truck, you're probably going to be really hard to scale this business. Because when you focus your time on the truck, you have a job, is what you have. And you got to be careful with that, because if you get hurt on your job, you just lost everything. And so this is why it's so important of what we teach and why I preach this so hard, so that you can go out there and take action and grow this business. And with that, you all have a great night, and we'll see you all later.